going on, YouTube? Legend here once again. This time back at you again with some Genshin Impact. That's right, Genshin Impact. We're here to talk about that because honestly, I have a few things that I want to talk about when it comes to Genshin, dealing with Eula. All right.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Because I've been watching some videos, I've been seeing some comment sections, I've been seeing some posts, all kinds of stuff talking about Eula and what's meta and what isn't, and how she isn't meta and how she's not good, and how she has too many caveats and stuff to be considered a top tier DPS. And I have a problem with that because when I look at these posts, I'll see people saying all these things about Eula, and then I'll see somebody post under, oh man, I really wanted her, but now you're saying that she has this and that, maybe I might not get her. I hate that. I hate that people keep telling people to skip until you get to Ganyu, when you might not even like Ganyu, you know? So I'm here to try, basically, kind of rant, kind of try and combat some of the things that people are saying about Eula. If you're on the fence about thinking about it, I mean, we've got like a week left into the banner, so hopefully this helps out and gives you the extra oomph to get a character that might be it for you. But let's start off with what exactly is meta and what isn't meta. I mean, because when you talk about what's meta, right? Keep in mind, Genshin Impact is a fairly easy game. I know that a lot of people aren't exactly have enough investment in their characters and stuff like that to feel that ease. I understand that. Some people are more casual. Some people just don't have the stuff yet, and that's okay. But the fact of the matter is, once you've played a certain amount of time and once you do have characters invested to where they need to be invested, there's not much challenge left, right? So characters being put at their limit are going to blow past any content there is, right? So meta isn't always necessary, but sometimes knowing what the meta is, knowing what character you should invest in over others, or which one is more likely to get you over that content easier, right? And I've heard that people say that Eula isn't there. And you know what? I'm telling you that she is. She is meta. I personally believe that she actually is a better unit than Zhao. A lot of people saying Zhao is one of the top 3, so on and so forth. I think Eula's up there. But yeah, but in order to talk about that, let's talk about some of the things that people are saying is what's wrong with Eula, all right? And some of the things are true. Some of these things are actually what's wrong with her. Let's just put those on the table, all right? So, one of the things that I keep hearing about Eula is that, all right, when you're trying to use her in Abyss, she has a problem with critting, right? You got a crit fish is what they call it with that, right? Now, this has always kind of bugged me a little bit, because the thing with the critting problem is that, yeah, she does one big hit, so you need to have some good crit rate for it to happen, to make sure that it crits most of the time. But I don't understand why that's considered so much of a problem, especially when you're dealing with a cryo character. Now, when I say this, people might think, well, you can't use Blizzard Strayer, so what are you talking about? Yeah, but you can use cryo resonance, right? You have Diona, who can give cryo resonance. You have Rosaria that can give cryo resonance. I prefer Rosaria, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But when a character has cryo applied to them, you get 50% more crit rate. You're getting more crit rate for just being cryo, right? Like, I don't understand how you can complain about that. Now, I understand that if you're using Diona, you might not be able to apply that much cryo in order to keep cryo up when you're constantly doing superconduct. But the thing is, it's just that I think that if you have an issue with crit rate, then all you need to do is use a cryo character that can solve that. And I think the cryo character that can solve that is Rosaria. Rosaria constantly reapplies cryo, so you're gonna be able to get that. And because of her passive, she gives up to 15% more crit rate. You can get 30% crit rate from one character being on your team. Now, if you're having an issue critting and you have a free 30% crit rate, then I don't think that's the character's fault. I think that's the build. So I don't think that's the issue. Here's a tip right here. If you are using Eula, put Rosaria down, use Eula's ult while you're using Rosaria's ult. And I'll tell you right now, is if you have at least 60% crit rate, you are going to crit on that burst. You're going to do it. It's going to happen all the time. If you have 6% crit rate, that is 90% crit rate you have during Rosaria's burst. You're gonna crit. It's gonna happen, all right? So I don't want to hear the whole crit fishing thing, because that is a solution right there. Also, another issue that people are saying is that she takes high investment, right? And that's true. You do need some good investment on Eula in order for her to hit those big numbers, hit the good numbers, because you're not always going to be able to get all the stacks. You want to be able to do a reasonable burst, even if you don't get all the stacks. I understand. But here is the issue that I have with that being a negative. Genshin Impact is a game that's going to last for years. It's going to last for 5, 10 years or so, however long they want to make it. Granted, not all of us are going to be playing all 10 years or all 5 years, but a lot of us are going to be playing for maybe 2, maybe 3, so on and so forth. Now, the amount of time it takes to put high investment into a unit is about 2 months, right? Now, that's using your fragile resin that you might get from, the battle pass, not paying, but even if you don't pay, you still get some fragile resin from it, So you can do a few refreshes, so on and so forth. But for the most part, because as of right now, for me, yeah, I'm a whale, but I don't really do the resin refresh. I don't use my pre-host for resin refresh anymore. I stopped doing that a couple months ago, right? So, the thing is, if you're gonna be playing for 2 years, and it takes you 2 months to make a unit highly invested, let's say you're unlucky and it takes you 3. Does it, at the end of 2 years, does it really matter that it took you 2 to 3 months to put high investment into the unit that you actually wanted? No, you are going to put high investment into that unit, no matter what. So why is that a bad thing? You are going to highly invest into the unit eventually. You don't need the big numbers right now. You just need to put in the work and play the game. You can't beat the game when you're still at the beginning. Like, that's just how games work. That's how it always works. You can't play Devil May Cry, expect to beat Virgil on mission 1. You can't do it. So I just think that high investment it's a non-issue for me, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to invest in your units, right? But there's that, right? Also, another thing. People say that, that she's physical is the issue. Now, here's the deal. I can see that point, because physical doesn't have those multipliers that, melt and vaporize does, so on and so forth. And there are enemies that do resist physical, like Rune Guards and Geo Bishops and all that stuff, right? But here's the deal. Now, Eula's kit itself has up to 25% physical fizz shred, okay? Also, Superconduct takes 40% physical resistance away also. Right off the bat, just by superconducting, you have 65% fizz shred coming off of the enemy, right? Physical resistance is not a problem. It's not a problem. And if you have any other units that can take that away, like C6 Rosaria or Zhongli or something like that, or Xingyan, like, they can take away physical resistance even further. Any enemy in the entire game will have negative fizz resistance when you are done. So that is not an issue. And when that is not an issue, that means any enemy in the game will take damage from Eula, right? And some people don't know this too, but cryo shields, like for cryo abyss shields, they do break from physical. So just so you guys know that. A lot of people don't know that too. So physical is actually really good if the character can deal out enough damage, and Eula is that character. All right, there's that. Now, people talk about energy issues with Eula, right? So energy issues, that's another thing, right? Now, if you don't have Raiden, right? Because Raiden completely solves that, without a doubt. That's why they're so great together, because Raiden, you don't need to care about how much energy you have. But the thing is also, if you don't have Raiden, because not everybody does, you have characters like Diona, you have characters like Rosaria. Like I said earlier, I was bringing up Rosaria. I personally think that Rosaria is a better support for Eula than Diona is. but I can see why, people would want that. You can always do both if you want to do that. That's fine too. Rosaria with a Favonius Lance will supply plenty energy enough. You give Eula 120 energy recharge, maybe 130. Rosaria with a Favonius Lance will supply plenty of energy. Because a lot of people don't remember that when you use Rosaria's E and you teleport behind the enemy, she gets more particles. And that stacked with the Favonius Lance, when the Favonius Lance crits, it gets more, and Rosaria gets more crit rate when she does teleport behind people. She's always going to get those particles. And when she gets those particles, that gives Eula a field day, right? So that's the thing. That's one way to do that. You can give Diona Sacrificial Bow or Favonius Bow, and same thing. She'll give you all that energy. So there are things to do. There are things to kind of combat that. And let's keep in mind that Eula's normal attacks and E do a good amount of damage. So let's not forget that. And also in terms of missing the burst, people say, oh yeah, you miss her burst because it's backloaded. Sometimes enemies will jump over it, duck it, dodge it, so on and so forth. Yep, I understand that too. Now this one's a little bit harder because this one, it happens. It's gonna happen where you're gonna miss. I mean, any character can miss their burst also. I mean, it happens. Enemies do move around, especially those wolves, But the thing is, now, this you just get better at it in time. When I first used Eula, I was missing bursts left and right, so on and so forth. But as I played more and more, I started to see the patterns of the enemies, so on and so forth. I knew that maybe I shouldn't do it against a Whopper Flower unless it's dizzy. Maybe I shouldn't do it against, enemies that are spread out and stuff like that, and all kinds of stuff. Or when I know an enemy is about to jump or do something. Just learning enemy mechanics, that's going to help you get over that in time. So that is an issue that can happen, but that's just part of the game, and just get better skills at the game when it comes to movement and predicting enemy movements. That's what's going to solve that. But the last thing I also want to touch on too is another thing that actually kind of annoyed me. This is a very annoying point that people bring up against Eula, is the fact that people say, oh, the enemies are dead before the burst goes off, so I wasted my burst. What? You're complaining that the enemies are dead? That means she's hitting hard. Yes, that means the game is too easy, of course, too. But that means she's hitting hard. So, that's not an issue. There's no solution that needs for that. What do you want to happen? You're like, oh, I just wish her normal attacks hit a little weaker so her burst couldn't go off. No, if the enemy's dead, it's dead. You beat the thing. You beat it. You did what you're supposed to do. So that's always kind of just a weird objection to me. That's not an issue, guys. So that's the thing. Eula is an AOE damage dealer, right? That still excels in single target damage. If she's fighting a single enemy, if she's fighting multiple enemies, she will destroy them all. It doesn't matter. It's not like her DPS dropped, because that's why people were comparing. When I got upset when people compared to Zhao, because Zhao's DPS drops when he's dealing with a single enemy, right? Especially if you have high constellations, which not most people don't have, of course. But that's the thing. Zhao, when he's dealing with single target, it's just not as advantageous. Whereas Eula does massive amounts of damage if you're dealing with a boss, because I believe that Eula is a boss killer. That's what she is. If there's a big hefty enemy, Eula is taking them down without a doubt. That's the thing, I believe she is well-designed character. She does have her flaws, but there are solutions. Her flaws are not big not game breakers there. I think that she's a good character. All right. But let me know what you guys think about everything that I said when it comes to Eula. I mean, I did say a lot. I did list a lot of things, but a lot. If you were on the fence and I helped push you one way or the other, and if you were thinking about getting her and you were double thinking because you heard different people say that she's not good and so on and so forth, I hope this kind of reassures you and lets you grab a character that I don't want to see you regret missing when it takes multiple months for her to come back again. All right. But yeah, I'll end it there. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the content, like the video, subscribe to this brand new channel, because I need some support here. You know, take a look at the main channel. Main channel is doing okay. It's doing all right. It's still small too, but you know, in my eyes, it's doing great. You know, so but this one, I want this to get off the ground too. You know, I love talking about Genshin, and I want to talk about it with you guys. But yeah, I'll end the video there. And with that, Legend out.